If you want to know the quickest and easiest way to get all of your workbenches and scrappy upgraded to max level in Arc Raiders, especially if you're a solo player or don't have access to high tier weapons and equipment, then hang around because I'm going to help you out. It turns out there are actually a lot of items on the upgrade list that you can completely skip having to find in Raid if you know where to look. As well as covering that, I'm also going to walk you through how you can find every item you need just by visiting 4 different locations, how we can pretty much max out Scrappy in just one raid, and also a brief overview of how to find and kill every single Arc enemy required for getting your workbench upgrades whilst only using low tier gear. I'll put a full chapter listing down below so you can skip to the info that you're most interested in, and if you're still struggling after this, then why not stop by my YouTube or Twitch live stream sometime, and maybe we can organize some community sessions where I can help you find these things in Raid. So first, let's have a look at all of the items you need for these different upgrades, and I'm going to run through how we can simplify this whole process. First up, this is the list of every single thing you need for every tier upgrade on all of your workbenches, and then of course the extra stuff you need for maxing out Scrappy as well. We can actually simplify this list a lot though, because quite a few of the things on there are either buyable from Celeste, the trader, by using seeds, or they're craftable in your refiner. All your metal, rubber, plastic parts, fabric, and chemicals can all be bought from Celeste and are of course very easy to find in Raid anyway. And you can also buy the synthesized fuel required for an upgrade from Celeste as well. You can get seeds by finding them in Raid. The Seed Vault on Stella Montis, the latest map, is a great place to farm loads of them. Or you can also get them from Scrappy, giving you a few every time you do a raid as well. As well as that, depending on your refiner level, as you go up through the tiers in it, you're going to be able to craft mechanical components, advanced mechanical components, electrical components and advanced electrical components, explosive compound, arc motion cores, antiseptics, arc circuitry, crude explosives, and durable cloth, which is a ton of the different stuff you need for a lot of these upgrades. All of this stuff can be made from pretty basic materials, so if we actually take all of the stuff that you can just craft or buy from Celeste out of the equation, it makes the list of things we need a lot more manageable. You can see here, this is the list of stuff we need to find just in Raid for all our different workbench upgrades, including some items that need to be scavenged from different Arc enemies, and then some stuff we just need to loot. If we throw it together like this, you can see those separated out. We've got all of the stuff that we're going to find on Arc enemies on the left there. We're going to cover that later in the video. What we really want to focus on here is the other stuff, the stuff on the right. This is what we need to max out all of our benches. And what I've done is I've grouped it into item type so we can focus on specific areas to go to get multiple items at the same time. Lots of these items have multiple types. They might be, mechanical and residential or electrical and commercial. But what I've done is group them together into what I think are the most efficient categories to target. The first location we want to visit to try and get some of these items is going to be the huge underground complex on Bluegate. This is a massive area. There's loads of different routes into it. And down here, you're going to find tons of cars that you can breach into to search, as well as lots of other containers down there full of useful loot. Whilst this area is marked as being mechanical and electrical, and then mechanical in the middle, and then you've got this little security and tech area on the west side that we're not going to worry about too much, you can actually find loads of industrial stuff down here as well. Down here, you're going to be able to find rusted tools, rusted gears, industrial batteries, motors, and also power cables. That's 5 of the different items we need for our upgrades in one area, and it's a massive area with a lot of loot there. And if you're playing on solos, you can probably manage to get through there with some don't shoots and happily loot away without any PvP. There's also a lot of different routes in and out, so you can escape and dip in from any different spawn on the map and extract from it quite easily. For the rusted tools, you're generally going to find those inside the breachable cube-like containers or metal lockers. The rusted gears you're going to find usually inside of the car breaches. That's where you're going to get most of those. Industrial batteries, generally you're going to find those in those cube containers again, like the rusted tools. Motors are going to be found inside cars. And then the power cables you're going to find in all sorts of random smaller containers, usually the blue cases, garbage bins, stuff like that. When you're coming in to run these areas to find loot, you don't need to bring in good gear with you if you don't want, but make sure you bring in a rig that has safe box slots. Obviously, I've got quite a high-end one here with 3 safe box slots, but if you just have one that has 1 safe box or 2 safe box, bring that along. and then you can chuck any of the items you find into that. So even if you do die, you're still going to be able to extract with them. Solos is generally going to be less PvP heavy than squads. Obviously, squads, you'll have your teammates protecting you and maybe helping you find loot as well. I tend to play a lot of solos, and you can often move through the map without really having any fights at all. You can load into these different maps in night mode or electrical storm mode. When you have those major map events, you're going to find more higher tier loot. I don't find it has a huge impact on these items particularly because none of them are crazy high tier. They're all sort of mid or low level items, but you might find that helps you out. But conversely, night mode can also be a little bit more PvP heavy as well. So go and run the underground complex on Blue Gate. If you do a good bit of looting down there over 2 or 3 runs and you haven't found almost all of these items, I'd be absolutely shocked. Every time I've gone on there and done a test run to check this, I found at least one, usually 2, 3 or 4 of these different items on one single loot run. For our next group of items, we're going to look at the medical focused stuff. So this is going to be our rusted shut medical kit, our cracked bioscanner, and our laboratory reagents. The best place I think to find these is the hospital building on Buried City. The research building on Buried City can also offer up some decent med stuff, and you also have the testing annex on Dam, which can be good for med stuff as well, and that also has commercial in it, which can supply some of the items you need for scrappy, like the pillow. But for med stuff specifically, and particularly these 3 items, I think the hospital is the best shout. This is because they very commonly spawn on top of open areas like these hospital beds. You'll find them on those or on shelves, and the hospital building has the most of these spawns. The research building is good, but it's more drawers and containers and less stuff sitting on the side. And the bioscanner, reagents, and medkit, you'll find more often than not just sitting on one of these beds where you see a lot of durable cloth. You can sometimes find them in drawers as well, so you want to search all that stuff, but generally sitting on the side is where you're most likely to find these. So that's 2 areas. We've got the underground complex on Blue Gate, the hospital on Buried City, and that covers 8 of the different items we need. Next up, we're going to be looking at 2 more of them. This is the technological stuff, the fried motherboard, and the damaged heat sinks. These are really easy to find again. There's lots of different places you can do this. Basically, you're looking for computer servers that you can search, and a good place to do this is again back on Blue Gate in the northeast of the map at Pilgrim's Peak. In here, there's quite a lot of these large breachable servers. Go around, breach all these containers, and providing it hasn't already been looted, you're very likely to find fried motherboards and damaged heat sinks very quickly here. The only downside of this place is that it's quite a long walk from anywhere you're likely to spawn in the map. All the spawns tend to be kind of the other side of the map generally, but it's usually pretty easy to extract from once you've made your way up here. For our next batch of items, we're going to look at residential things. So this is going to be our toaster, dog collar, cat bed, and very comfortable pillows. Some of those things have other characteristics as well, like commercial with the pillow we talked about a moment ago, but they can all be found in residential areas fairly easily. For my example run here, I found pretty much everything in one run in the large village area in Blue Gate, but I do find the village in Blue Gate is a bit harder to keep track of where you've looted and where you haven't. You have to do a lot of small buildings with a couple of containers. You might find it's a bit easier doing it in the different residential areas on Dam. They're on the outskirts of the map, and these ones have a lot more containers in each building, and then it's a bit easier to keep track of where you've been and where you haven't. You also tend to bump into a few less players in these areas. There's a lot of player spawns around the village in Blue Gate, so you might bump into a lot of people there quite early who may or may not be friendly. The toasters you often find just sitting on the side in the kitchens. You can see in this clip I actually found 3 in one kitchen when I was getting some footage for this, but they can also be found in any drawer or cupboard as well. Same for dog collars, same for cat beds, and same for the pillows. Any drawer or cupboard in these areas you can find them, and like I mentioned, the very comfortable pillows. If you're struggling in residential, try running the testing annex on Dam, on night mode if you need to, and you can also find them pretty commonly in there. All we've got left item-wise is just the nature stuff required for scrappy. This is all of our fruit, our lemons, apricots, pears, olives, and mushrooms. You can go around and farm these from various trees, bushes, and mushrooms that you find in weird places on all the different maps, but by far the easiest way to do this is just wait for the Lush Blooms event. You get this on all the different maps. I tend to do it on Dam. I think that's the easiest one to do it. By the way, you can check the timings of when these map events are available on various different websites. I'll put a link to one down below. Go on to Dam during a Lush Blooms event with a nice free inventory, and then run around and look for raider camps, little rusted, small kind of compounds around the edges of the map. Some of these ruins as well can have them, these stone ruins. And look for these small wicker baskets. These are only present during Lush Blooms events, and inside them you get a random selection of loads of different fruit. You can get seeds as well, fertilizer, and a few other nature things. But you can find all of those different nature things required in these baskets, and you get tons of them at once sometimes up to 6 of a thing in one container. This run here we did as a little test on stream. This was our first go trying this, and I think I looted about 7 or 8 of these baskets as I ran around with a friend of mine, and from that I got almost every single item required to upgrade Scrappy to max from level 0 or level 1. Barring I think about 3 apricots, I had more than enough of every other single item, the lemons, pears, olives, mushrooms, all ticked off in one single raid. And on top of that, because I'd already upgraded Scrappy and didn't need them, I had 150,000 credits worth of fruit, so I sold that for loads of money, or you can recycle those and get seeds as well. So even if you don't need to do Scrappy, it's a great way of making yourself some money or getting yourself some seeds. They're also very light to carry, so you don't need to worry about carry weight when you're looting fruit like this. So that's all the items you need to find in Raid. Now, what about all the ones you need to get from killing different Arc? First up, some general pointers on killing these Arc. I'd recommend using heavy ammo when you can. That's very effective at shooting through Arc armor plating. You can use medium ammo with higher rates of fire against weakly armored or unarmored parts, and it can be effective as well. But I find it's easier and simpler just to bring a load of heavy ammo, bring a ferro, bring an anvil if you have one. They have a faster rate of fire, but either one will do. And for most of them, you can just blast away with heavy ammo. But I'm also going to talk through where you can find some of these Arc and a couple of tips for how to take them down. Some of the stuff you need is going to be very easy to find. Your Wasps, your Hornets, and your Snitches. Obviously, these are found all over the place. If you manage to play the game for more than 5 minutes outside without seeing any of these, then I'll be astonished. When you find the Wasps and Hornets, just make sure you've got a bit of hard cover nearby that you can dive behind if they do try and shoot at you. Aim for the rotors, that's going to send them flying. If you manage to hit their rotors and then they hit some sort of hard cover, they'll also just explode instantly as well, so sometimes you can get them very quickly like that. And try and aim for the back rotors when you can, when they have the heavy armor on the front too. And Snitches you can just shoot pretty much anywhere. They're going to go down with 3 hits from any heavy ammo. So those 3 are pretty easy. This Sentinel people can struggle with a little bit more. The Sentinel is this high-end sentry gun. You don't always see it on every map. If you want to find the locations for them, I'd recommend looking at some of the interactive map sites. I'll put a link to one down below. That's going to show you possible spawn locations for these. They don't always spawn there, but they sometimes do, and they much more commonly spawn in night mode or in the electrical storm mode. You can spot these turrets because they have the big beam of light coming out of them that points and goes over a long distance. Don't get anywhere near these when you're in the open because they will lock onto you and they'll hit you with a sniper and do a ton of damage. As long as you've got a bit of hard cover though, you can just stand behind that, peek out, shoot them a couple of times with your ferro or your anvil, and once the lines start closing in and goes red, that indicates it's about to shoot. Take cover, let it fire, and then you can step out, take another couple of shots, and just repeat that until it explodes, and then you can go over and loot it and grab the core. If you're struggling to find them, just load up one of the interactive maps, go on whatever map is on night mode, and then check each of the different possible spawn locations and see if they're there. If they're not there, just extract, go back in, try again, and you're going to find one sooner or later. For the Bastions, these are a bit of a tougher thing to deal with solo. You can usually find them pretty easily. Again, you can use the interactive maps. I tend to find fighting these guys on Buried City can be a little bit easier because there's a lot of windows and doorways and roofs where you can shoot them and also have pretty good cover to duck into when you need to. The yellow marked areas like the knees and the yellow bit on the back are weak spots, but you can also just shoot straight down on top of it with heavy ammo as well, which does quite a bit of damage. And you can just spam cheap grenades at it as well. These impact grenades are very easy to craft. And if you just chuck loads of them, you're going to do a lot of damage very quickly without needing to try and bring in a hole cracker or some other fancy material to do that. It's obviously a lot easier if you have someone else to help you. In solos, you might be able to recruit a friend to come and help you out because then it's going to be shooting at 2 different people. Gives you more opportunity to shoot it more quickly, but it can be done with one. You just have to be patient, stepping back to cover when it's trying to shoot. Maybe try and shoot it from a doorway where you can find an angle on one of its legs when its gun can't quite hit you, and just be cautious to make sure you're getting out of the way whenever it's firing. You just got to be patient with it. There's not a lot you can't kill in this game by just being patient and shooting it with enough heavy rounds, and obviously watch your back for anyone coming to third party. When you do manage to kill one of these, they can drop a ton of cores just from one kill. You get all these different parts you can search, and sometimes you can find all 6 cores you need off of one Bastion. You might get unlucky and just get 2 or 3, but you can get a lot of cores from just one kill. Bombardier is similar to the the Bastion, except you need to have slightly different cover. I'd recommend doing it again on Buried City if you're doing it solo, and fighting it from a window can be quite effective. For instance, sometimes they spawn on top of the car park building in Buried City. That can be a good place to shoot at them. You can then shoot at them from the windows of the space travel building, or you can try and shoot them in the underground car park area on Blue Gate and just gradually chip away at them, dodge out of the way when they're firing their rockets, and eventually you will manage to kill them, unless a Rocketeer suddenly flies in the door from nowhere and blasts you into oblivion. They have the same weak spots as the Bastion, but to be honest, if you're just blasting heavy ammo at it and trying to be quick, you can pretty much just shoot it almost anywhere, and you can see the damage you're doing when it shows you the XP on the left-hand side of the screen. So if you're firing your gun and hit it somewhere and it's saying 80 XP per hit, then you're probably doing fine. If you keep doing that, you're going to get it killed eventually. For your tick pods, those are the little spider things, the crab things that climb around on the ceiling and drop down and jump on your face. You can find them pretty much anywhere, but a place with loads of them, if you want to go and farm all of these in one go, is the Seed Vault on Stellar Montis. If you go into this area, you're going to need to find a battery on the floor nearby to open the door, but when you go in there, there's loads of these in there. You'll easily be able to get all 8 tick pods in one place if you do it here. Just run around. You can either one-shot them with heavy ammo or hit them with your hammer if you can catch them, and then grab the tick pods. And you can also farm loads of seeds in here as well, like I mentioned earlier on. Surveyors are another one that people struggle with a little bit. I don't really tend to worry about the interactive map spawns for these. I just go onto any of the maps and then just roam around and look for the big blue beams of light in the air. That's a surveyor. You can see them from miles away. When you see this blue beam of light, go towards that, and surveyor's going to be sat there opened up shooting this laser in the air. If you can sneak up on it and then shoot it whilst it's open like this, shoot it in the top unarmored half while it's got its blue beam in the air, you're going to do really good damage. It's then going to close up and roll away and try and run away from you, but you can usually get a good few hits on it before it does, or maybe try and throw a grenade at it or some grenades at it before it rolls away, and then you just need to chase it around, keep shooting it until it's dead. It can try and attack you. It doesn't do a load of damage. It'll generally keep running away, but as long as you're patient, maybe bring some of the stamina stims so you can keep chasing a bit more easily, you'll soon be able to take it down without much risk aside from players third-partying or other arc that might get aggroed. When you kill it, make sure you search all of the plates it's dropped on your merry little chase rather than just the ones where it died, because all of these armor plates that it drops can spawn Surveyor cores inside. Pops and fireballs are the two little roly ball things of death. You can find these pretty much anywhere inside. They're all over Stellar Montis or in the big hangars on Spaceport. You find them everywhere. If they have a little ring around them like Saturn, then it's a pop and you can just shoot it and it'll explode. If it has no ring around it, then it's a fireball. And the best plan is to wait for it to roll up to you. It's then going to open, and then you can shoot it in its unarmored core, and it's going to explode pretty much straight away. When it's closed up, it'll take loads of hits to kill, and it's not really worth firing at. Just make sure you take a step back when you blow it up, because it's going to drop some fire. If you're on a slope, like a staircase or something, and you kill it at the top of there, jump out of the way, because it's going to roll down and fire's going to go absolutely everywhere. The Rocketeer is another challenging one. You can obviously find these pretty much everywhere. I went and killed a couple as a tester on Spaceport because I wanted to shoot them from quite far away. Quite a good tactic for shooting these. Works a lot better with 2 of you, but it can be done to a degree with 1, is engaging them from a very long distance away with some heavy ammo, with preferably an anvil, but potentially a ferro as well, and just target one engine and just try and keep hitting it over and over as much as you can until it's destroyed, and then target a second engine. Once you've killed a second engine, it's going to fall to the floor and die. But what can happen when you're shooting them quite far away is they get in this kind of stun-locked state where they pause for a second after every hit, and it's only when you sort of stop hitting them, they'll suddenly fly forward quite quickly and start actually shooting you. So if you manage to hit quite a few shots quite quickly when you're shooting them at maybe 200 meters away or 150 meters away, you can often completely destroy one engine before it's even managed to get within range to start firing missiles at you. Once it does start firing missiles at you, obviously they're pretty brutal. Make sure you've got some hard cover to dodge around, and then just keep peeking up and take out that second engine, and it's going to go down. Usually just find one Rocketeer core in these, or Rocketeer Driver, so you're going to need to kill a few of them in order to get the ones you need. Leapers are a little bit easier. They look very daunting when you first start playing, but you can find them pretty much everywhere. As long as you make sure you've got a bit of hard cover, like a small room you can go and hide in, then they're going to be very easy to kill. You can just aggro them over from anywhere. They'll come jumping over to you and just blast their central core with heavy ammo. It's going to knock off its armor very quickly and do full damage when you shoot it. You could switch damage to another gun after you destroy the armor if you want, or just keep blasting it with your ferro. Or you can blast its legs, and that's going to disable them, and it's going to move a bit more slowly as well. It also takes a lot of damage from fire grenades, and also just normal grenades as well. Spamming impact grenades, if you can make them hit, it's going to do loads of damage too, and take down these things pretty quickly. Just watch out if you get too close, they're going to do an AoE attack that's going to hurt you, so make sure you've got 10 meters or so within your building or your hard cover that you can just back up if required. And with that, that's going to be all of the stuff you need to get all of your workbenches and scrappy upgraded from level 1 all the way to top tier, and have all of the crafting options available that you need. So that's everything for today. Hopefully you found that useful. If you did, then why not drop a like and a sub on the channel, and maybe let me know what else you'd like to see covered in my next in-depth guide. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Ben, and I'll see you next time.